Hey everybody, how's it going? Just getting back now for our first water cooler here after ETH Denver. For those of you that aren't aware, we spent the last week out in Denver to spend a little time with some of our partners and some of the blockchains that we do some work with, and it was fantastic. It was a great trip. We got a lot of good communication and a lot of good conversations happened. And we talked a lot about some of the upcoming future products that we're working on here. So I think that this kind of really resonates a lot with some of our goals for this year, which is going to be a lot more focused on our partners, just trying to build things together, trying to expand the ecosystem together, and etc. And this was a very good first step in that for 2022. We do plan to be in a lot more conferences here to come. Some of note, our consensus, which is going to be coming up here in the summer, and likely at least one or two in Europe as well. So a lot more to come, but this was overall a great trip. 4 of us got to make it out there, and I do expect it to be a larger group as we get into future conferences. So with that being said, there is a couple of additional, there are some additional things going on here within the organization. As of yesterday, we kind of put out a little bit of an interview that we had with Tron. This was basically a conversation that we had back and forth about DAOs. If you haven't seen it, please check it out. We talk a lot about why a DAO is important, why a DAO is important to us as an organization, why a DAO is important to them as an organization. And I think that these kind of spell out where we're going as a company and how we expect to operate in the future. So some very interesting tidbits there as well. Some other news: Ontology EVM has been announced. They are coming out with an EVM version of their blockchain. They're going to be launching a upgrade to the ONT as well as the ONG token. Both of these are going to be now fully EVM compatible, and we expect to be there day one. So we're expecting to build out UTrade up our additional products on this new EVM compatible version, and we will be there to support them, as they've been a great partner to us to support from the beginning. So I really look forward to that. For those of you that don't know, Ontology is an organization we've been working with since 2019, actually. We built our first version of an AMM there all the way back in 2019, more like a Bankhorse style exchange. That was kind of the first versions of what UTrade eventually evolved into. And I expect that with this new version of UTrade version 2 going live on Ontology, you're going to see all the features that you expect, as well as some kind of new features that we've been working on. And that kind of brings us into some of these additional things that we've been working on. I've seen some posts up on Discord, but before I get to that, we have added additional blockchains to UTrade officially, or I should say unofficially. So we have continued to add additional blockchains. These are not yet public. They're being used to kind of test some very specific new features. So we are working with additional blockchains that are not yet publicly accessible. They have features on them that are not on any public version of UTrade as well. And I expect that with a success of those tests, that we're going to see some new features rolling out to public. So with that being said, I just want to talk a little bit about some conversations that I saw happening in Discord over the weekend. For those of you that aren't there, Discord is a great place to talk. I get to see a lot of these more interesting thoughts and conversations. They don't kind of get like lost in the stream. So if you come up with some ideas and you post them there, it's a lot more likely that we'll get a chance to kind of see them, address them directly think about them and come back out with them. But I saw a lot of conversation, I think it was in the True Believers channel, about possibly doing some changes to Up. And it just went so in line with some of what we're thinking that I had to kind of draw some attention to it. So the Up token, as it was originally designed, is not too different from what we had far in the past, which is basically just a pegged token. This is a token that's backed by native tokens on each blockchain, and it continues to grow as time goes on. The downside of Up is it locks up a ton of liquidity. It locks up a ton of native tokens that can't necessarily be used for some additional rewards or things like that that could possibly recontribute back into the Up ecosystem. So there were some conversations that I saw out there today about, is it possible to do things like Up bonds or some other Up updates? And the answer is yes. There actually are a few things that we can do to upgrade Up and make it a lot more interesting. So from my perspective, if we were to upgrade the Up token, we would want to have it upgraded in such a way that it becomes a lot more accessible to anyone. So right now, Up tends to cater a bit more towards people that have been in the ecosystem longer. But as those of you that have participated within the ecosystem have seen, the redeem value doesn't necessarily increase at the same speed as it did over time. So I think that what that means is that the Up token basically needs some kind of revision that allows people to come in and participate on day one and and potentially see some kind of rewards from that participation within the Up ecosystem directly. So there's a lot of interesting thoughts there. There's a lot that can be done. These are all things that we've been working on and will continue to work on. So I would expect to see some upgrades there. I think it's kind of naive to think that everything is going to be universally liked or appreciated. But I do think that our overall intent is to make Up and its ecosystem more successful. And I think that the other thing that our intent is to operate more like a DAO. So as we come out with new options, new ideas, new concepts, I think that you're going to see a lot more conversation between us and the community more directly on what those are and what that impact is. You'll probably see tie-ins with referendums, maybe some new types of referendums coming out as well to allow people to directly participate. And hopefully in the near future, the ability to directly vote and decide what actions we take with our smart contracts, such as Up. So a lot to see there. I'm really looking forward to this testing we're doing on new blockchains going through. I'm really looking forward to the results with some of the partners that we have, because we've been building a lot of custom solutions there as well. And so I am really hoping that those all go well so we can start to roll out more public versions of these things. Overall, it kind of aligns us now for a lot of potential changes here coming as we start to enter Q2 of 2022. So before I wrap up here, I do see a comment here by Marek. I think Mareki it is. So we need a roadmap for the next few months to be posted under CoinMarketCap. Yeah, I think that's a great point. So a roadmap is great. I think that the hard piece about this is, I think when you talk about a CoinMarketCap roadmap, that typically has to do with things like the token itself. So UNIFI token is a governance token. It's been that since day one. It's going to continue to operate and be that. We as an organization have our own roadmap as well. There's a lot of products that we build, a lot of blockchains that we work on, and those don't necessarily interface with UNIFI today. So when I think we're talking about roadmap, I think it's very important to kind of differentiate between the two. I think people like to see specifically what's going on with the UNIFI token, which there is constant development there, as you've seen with some of these new exchange listings and things like that. But building out UTrade, working on Up, working on new concepts that interface directly within our existing ecosystem partners, ontology, and things like that. This is framework that's absolutely required to make UNIFI a more successful token. So I think that when it comes to roadmap, it's going to be a lot more difficult to read the tea leaves on how does UTrade version 2 ontology play into UNIFI token. That's not a direct correlation. There is no UNIFI token that's been officially deployed on ontology. There is no way that the UNIFI token can directly participate there yet. So there's a lot that remains to be seen, and I think that that's all something to consider. If you guys are looking for a more generalistic roadmap, I know we put out some things in the past, and so you're absolutely right. We can go on CoinMarketCal and look up and see how we can kind of revise that. So with that being said, guys, if there's no other questions, I'm going to cut out here. So thank you all so much for the time and for tuning in, and I'll see you all next week.